You are witnessing a genocide, and you're wondering what you can do about it. Most people have given their money in charity and their voices in protest. It seems like that's all we can do, but it's been difficult. There are powerful forces working against us, trying to silence us. To understand how serious this issue is, I want you to think about this question. What is speech? Or even better, why do we engage in it? Speech is the manifestation of thought. We have eyes with which we see, ears with which we hear, minds with which we think, and hearts with which we feel. These parts of our body allow us to experience the universe. You see, we are constantly observing and processing the world all around us. These observations trigger chemical changes in our brain. Neural networks flare up in a blitz of processing. It sounds complex, and it is, but we have a simple word for it all. Thought. Our minds are the nurturing microcosms that take inspiration from observations and evolve them into thought. And speech is nothing but thought transformed into a spoken medium to be observed and understood by others. The astrophysicist Carl Sagan once said,
"We're made of star stuff. We are a way for the cosmos to know itself."
We are extensions of the same universe. We come from it, and we observe it. We speak to it, and in turn, we help shape it. It's a constant give and take. So you see, your talking is much more than words leaving your mouth, at least for most people. Your words are the universe being echoed through your mind and lips. Speech is incredible, and it's what makes mankind special. From our innate desire to express ourselves, mankind has grown to create hundreds of languages, entire systems of uttered sounds strung together for the purpose of describing to each other the universe around us. And it is only through language, whether spoken or written, that mankind has been able to advance to its current state. From the earliest oral epics and histories of ancient Babylon and Greece, to the written records of long-dead empires that would inspire people 1,000 years and miles away, to the printing press that would usher in an explosion of growth and prosperity, and finally to digital media, where any of us have access to an eon of mankind's accumulated knowledge. History has proven time and time again that words have the power to create and to destroy, to obtain power and to challenge it. Words have power, so much so that a sign of wisdom and maturity is when a person is thoughtful and selective with their words. So let me ask you again, what is speech? Speech is our mark on the universe, the means by which we impact and change the world we live in. In this way, specific kinds of speech can be inspirational to some and yet threatening to others. For an idea is like a seed, and once the seed of an idea takes root, it grows inexorably. A single idea from the human mind can thus build cities. It can transform the world and rewrite all the rules. And for this reason, people throughout history have clashed over what can and cannot be said. Those in power have always sought to control speech, because controlling speech is a means to control the spread of ideas, the spread of narratives. Controlling speech is a means to control the universe. There has always been and will always be powerful entities that attempt to control what is said, that will attempt to censor speech. And what is censorship? It isn't just the regulation of words. It isn't just the suppression of language. Censorship is the smothering of thought, of ideas. It is a most sinister form of oppression because it deprives us of the very spark that has allowed mankind to ascend from its humble beginnings. You see, if one controls your speech, then they control your thoughts. They deny your God-given right to give and take with reality. Censoring the speech of man twists and perverts the universe itself. You have heard this phrase before, I'm sure. If you kill one man, it's as though you've killed all mankind. Well, I say, if you censor one person, it's as though you have censored the entire universe. Maybe I'm being dramatic, but we too often forget how important speech is to our society. If it were not powerful, the powers that be would not try to deprive you of it. Throughout history, we have seen the nefarious use of censorship censorship by established powers to silence and suppress, stymieing civilization. From the church states of Europe during the Renaissance, where even challenging the idea of the universe revolving around the earth could bring a death sentence, to the burning of books throughout the ages, whether in China during the Qin dynasty, or in South America where conquistadors put Aztec and Mayan manuscripts to the torch. The destructive force of censorship has reared its ugly head time and time again, but censorship has often done more than just hinder mankind's progression. Paired with propaganda, it has often facilitated atrocities. We cannot forget the role censorship played in America during the Vietnam War to prop up support for it as long as possible. Nor can we forget the manufactured consent that enabled the Second Gulf War that leveled Iraq and led to the death and displacement of millions of Iraqis and wreaked havoc on the entire Middle East. But the most notorious case of censorship in the past century far overshadows any of that. Adolf Hitler's Nazi Germany masterminded an extensive and systematic campaign of censorship and misinformation that was integral to facilitating the Holocaust. Germany, and really all of Europe, had a long history of violent purges and pogroms against Jews. But to do what Germany accomplished in the Holocaust, the Nazis had to rewrite the book on propaganda and censorship. They established a stranglehold on all forms of media and communication, meticulously controlling and manipulating information to both suppress dissent and conceal their genocidal activities. The Ministry of Propaganda ensured that newspapers, films, books, and radio broadcasts aligned strictly with Nazi ideology, while censoring or outright banning any material that contradicted or threatened their narrative. This was accompanied by the persecution and elimination of dissidents, intellectuals, and Jews, further instilling a climate of fear that stifled opposition. The Gestapo's extensive surveillance network ensured compliance and deterred resistance, where public acts like the infamous book burnings symbolized the regime's utter disdain for intellectual freedom and pluralism. By controlling the narrative and silencing voices of truth, the Nazis were able to carry out the Holocaust with a horrifying efficiency, largely unchallenged by a populace kept in ignorance or fear. By suppressing and censoring speech, the Nazis were able to impose their will onto the universe. And they did this all while making themselves out to be the victims of the very Jews they were persecuting, convincing people and the world that the Jews had to go for the world to be safe. This is happening again today, except this time it isn't the newspapers, radios, and books that are controlled and censored. It's social media platforms. There is a similar systematic campaign of censorship and propaganda that is helping Israel to facilitate a campaign of genocide against the Palestinian people, and Meta is complicit. Meta has been mass deleting posts, suppressing reach, hiding users from the public, and outright banning them. This censorship has helped to facilitate a disgusting onslaught against a civilian population who, like the Jews of the Warsaw Ghetto, are trapped within the confines of their concentration camp, leading to the deaths of thousands of people, including little children. By engaging in this censorship, Meta has taken a side. They are suppressing speech that challenges the October 7th narrative. They have amplified Zionist atrocity propaganda and lies that have served as the justification for the murder of innocents. I could tell you how Meta approves advertisements calling for the murder of Palestinians. I could tell you how they auto-translate the Palestinian flag emoji into the word terrorist. I could tell you how they rig the algorithm to hide pro-Palestinian comments. I could tell you how their vague policies are used to suppress Palestinian speech instead of actual hate speech. I could tell you about their secret blacklist and how it includes mostly people of color, like Muslim, Arab, and South Asian individuals and groups. I could tell you how they deplatform Palestinian feminists, but allow Ukrainian neo-Nazi military brigades. I could go on and on about Meta's problematic censorship policies, but maybe you already know what I'm talking about. Maybe you've experienced it for yourself. Meta censorship is no pedestrian matter. This runs deeper than just deleting some posts. Many advocate for identifying social media companies as public utilities, which, regardless of one's own personal beliefs about the issue, does have some merit, which means these companies have an inherent moral obligation to the communities they serve. And as one of the largest social media companies, Meta has an almost monopolistic hold on speech. They control Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. They thus control, monitor, and censor the speech of billions of people. They are the gatekeepers of information, but but they have abused that role and erected barriers between people. This issue isn't new. For years, activists and organizations like Hamla, the Palestinian digital rights group, have called on Meta to fix their policies, but they have not. Meta has already chosen a side. They continue to work closely with the far right-wing extremist government of Israel to censor, silence, and suppress speech. And while Meta isn't alone in following in the footsteps of the Nazis' Ministry of Propaganda, they are by far the most powerful and most complicit. We are all witnessing a genocide take place, and our eyes, ears, minds, and hearts have compelled us to speak against it, to bring a just end to the madness of the Zionist apartheid and occupation. The universe compels us and calls on us to halt the injustices that are occurring, to prevent another Nazi regime, this time under the flag of Zionism, from carrying out another Holocaust. So what is the solution? I wish there was a clear answer. I used to think we should boycott the app altogether, but truthfully, I'm not so sure. This is probably exactly what they want us to do anyway. They'd be happy to get rid of us. Meta is problematic. They have engaged in censorship and suppression, but even with their rigged algorithm, they haven't been able to completely stamp out Palestine from the algorithm. This is because of the ferocity and volume of your posts. With every like, comment, and share, you are blitzing the algorithmic firewall of censorship and disrupting Meta's platform. So despite the censorship, Meta is still an important tool, and you've all been using it to the best of your abilities. I know we're all exhausted and fatigued, but there's literally nothing easier than tapping buttons on a screen to like, comment, and share, and amplify Palestinian content. So renew your intent. Go ballistic with the engagement. Do not stop amplifying Palestine. Now, if you would like to try and hold Meta accountable, there are two ways in which you can do it. If you're an individual, you can cancel your blue check that you pay for, and as a business owner, you can stop running advertisements on Instagram. By reducing the revenue they generate through subscriptions and through advertisements, you can apply economic pressure with the hopes that it gets their attention. Until a better solution can present itself, I urge you to educate and inform yourselves on Meta's problematic censorship policies. You can do this by following Hamla, the Palestinian digital rights group, tagged in the description of this video. They've been lobbying Meta for years to address anti-Palestinian censorship. I'm curious to hear your thoughts and ideas on this topic. What's your solution? Please comment them below. Follow for more.